Science fiction writers, engineers and mad professors have been toying with the dream for decades. Reverse back to this self-driving buggy from the 1970s.
This auto tram is another NASA plan, tracking along a wire in the surface of the road. Pedestrians need have no fears. The auto tram thinks for itself and stops if they should cross its path.
Whatever eventually emerges onto the roads of tomorrow, the future looks bleak for the intimate relationship we currently enjoy with our fine four fended friends. This is a momentous day in Evie's life, learning to drive.
Of course I remember learning to drive. It was a great experience.
Because my dad taught me how to drive and it was a real bonding experience for us.
We learnt to drive in paddock bashers.
Today we're going to be working on your hazard perception, what you see down the road today.
Okay.
Evie is only just learning to drive, and there's a lot to think about.
That's it, make sure you have a bit of a look. Shoulder check, there we go, that's cool. There we go, don't worry about him, out you go. Trying to keep your eyes on the move. Checking your mirror, you're checking your speed.
In a few short minutes, however, Evie is transformed from ordinary mortal to driver.
Put a right hand down on your steering wheel, there we go, come back a little bit.
Okay, so she's not the finished article. But in a couple of months, she'll hopefully have passed her driving test and will think nothing more of getting behind the wheel than she currently does of walking.
So it's really all about having your vision up and out and seeing as much as you can, starting to understand all the different potential hazards.
In simple terms, Evie has sensed the world around her and reacted appropriately. It's what she's been doing all her life. Only today, she's learning to do that via a machine, the automobile. Sensing our environment is something that most of us take wholly for granted. It's part of being human, something we're good at. But little by little, cars have been getting in on the act too. Automatic headlights and windscreen wipers, parking sensors, lane sensors, cruise control, adaptive cruise control, and collision avoidance systems have all emerged under the banner of driver assist technologies. They're not perfect, yet. But they're getting better. In reality, these are the first small steps on the road to full autonomy, and that's official. The first stage on the driverless master plan.
Level 1.
At level 1, the vehicle can take control of individual functions like acceleration or braking.
I think with a lot of technologies, people think of technology kind of falling from the sky, complete, ready to go, but the nature of technology is that it's always iterating and it's always developing, and we're on a spectrum where technologies are already out and in our world.
Well, electric vehicles, I've already got basically all their components digitized. So, from the steering to everything that's in the car can be controlled by a computer.
Much of what passes for level 1 is really just a car learning some good old-fashioned common sense, like using its detection system to know when to keep the door shut. That's one the cyclists will love. And that's just the basics of what Evie is learning.
What do you see ahead of you at the moment?
The door opening.
Door opening.
To successfully avoid crashing her car, Evie will have to be able to perform a bewildering array of tasks simultaneously, in real time.
So always go slow, but turn the steering wheel fast if you're manoeuvring slowly.
Evie will have to be able to recognise, categorise and accurately predict the likely future actions of anything she sees while driving.
The car coming at you there, really, quite fast.
In the light of those near instantaneously acquired pieces of information, she must cause the car to safely accelerate, change direction, slow down, stop, or all or none of the above.
What you did there when you moved the car over, that's called buffering. You were moving the car away from the oncoming vehicle to give you...
And bear in mind that this is a constantly updated stream of data to be interpreted and acted upon by Evie, millisecond by millisecond, for as long as she's behind the wheel.
You've got a pedestrian on the left here. So have a bit of a look-see, see what's coming into the roundabout. That's pretty clear, off you go.
That, in a nutshell, is what is required of a self-driving car. It needs to understand and interact with its environment. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
You can turn him off now.
We're only just getting to level 2, after all.
Awesome.
Complicated.
Nah, it's not complicated. It's easy once you know how.
Level 2.
Level 2 is the point on the road to autonomy at which the would-be driverless car can control two things at the same time, like steering and braking. It's a small but significant step. But before we send all our current cars to the crusher, it's worth remembering that some of them can multitask already. Like this driverless vehicle, that the owner can simply walk in to a very, very tight parking space.
All right, so the car's remotely started and I haven't even been in the car, so there's no one in the car. I'm reversing back, so it's just a matter of hitting the function on the display key and walking alongside the car safely until it comes to a position where I'm happy to get into the car.
Automated parking is a feature that you'll see in top-of-the-line cars now, and it's actually rolling out into more mainstream cars. And it's the ability to sit in your car, take your hands off the wheel, and have a reverse parallel park completed for you by a machine.
So I think with automated parking, I think that's another significant innovation, because anything that can take some of the stress and anxiety off of the traveler is a good thing.
This car will even sense when not to charge through as it drives for that rockstar park. These tricks are all well and good, and of course really very clever. But to be fair, they're not exactly difficult for human drivers to pull off. It makes you wonder why we're bothering with driverless cars at all.